Hello, welcome back to another video. This week I'm doing a video on how I built my gazebo and how I fiberglass my pond and the work what I've done to get it to this state in a minute, and how I fitted a window and what window I used and where I got the window from. So I will explain in a bit better in detail. So we'll start now. I shall tell you how I put the gazebo in. So I got some posts. They are reclaimed posts, and basically some are 8 foot and 12 foot, and they were dug 2 foot down in the ground and cemented in with post mix, and they was all varnished with wood varnish. Basically sanded down and a good 2 or 3 coats of brown wood varnish. So I did one post in one corner and then posts in the far corner with a string line on it to get my level with the spirit level, and basically same again, dug down 2 to 3 foot I think it was. Did that all the way around. Some posts are longer than other. Then I put a cross member beam bar across on one side, and then you can see the photo. Did the other side as well. Did all the way around the pond before cross member posts. They was drilled and screwed and countersunk with some good screws, and there was all varnished with some brown varnish. You can see the posts are a bit long, but I cut them off at the end and got the level. The all 4 membranes are put round, and then eventually I put a cross beam in the middle, as you'll see in the photos. This is just different angles of the photo, how I did the gazebo, how I did the cross members. So yeah, I got all these for about 100 quid. If you look round, you're getting cheap enough. From a local wood reclaimed yard in my local area. It comes with 4 posts and 4 beams across the top. I think they were just 100 quid just for them 4 posts. So not bad for £100 for reclaim. So it is quite sturdy, and they're all quite sunk into the ground with plenty of concrete. Then the next picture I did the apexes for the roof. So I cut some wood for facial coverage, and then what I did with them, just cut them to size and cut them off. Then I stained them again with some wood stainer. They're all just tacked in with nails, quite sturdy. So I did this on both sides, on each end of the pond. So the width of the pond, I think they're about 14-15 foot I think across the membrane. So I put a cross membrane in as well, a cross shape just to give it extra support. Then did the cross membrane across the top for the apex for the roof, you can see on the next photo. Basically did the wood across as in between, all support. It rained this typical day when I did this, but it always is when you start doing work. Then I got some sheeted plywood and put over the top on each side. There were 4 pieces in total to span across top, as you can see. Then I put plenty bit of wood between underneath, just to give extra support, and also when I can screw and fasten down with screws, you can see as well. This ditch just helps to get plenty to help keep the light out as well, and help keep the rain out. That's the main reason why I did the gazebo, because I didn't want rainwater getting to my water, because rainwater can tend to be acid and it can mess with your pH and stuff, and a lot of metal in rainwater, so I tend to keep out. So then all the water I put in is my tap water out of tap. So yeah, just different handles, you can see, look. I think these were from I had these given for nothing, so these were free. So just pay to shop round now to get free wood if you can get it. So yeah, this is another handle up. So all these four are on, you can see. Then I screwed them down really well, and just a bit of wood filling in places I need to put in. Then cut the excess off at the ends and screwed it really down. Next I bought some sheets. These are British sheets, like shingle sheets, like a fake roof effect, because they're lightweight and easy. So they're using proper tiles and any plastic tiles. I think these worked out about £14 for about 8 or 10 sheets in the pack, and I think it did about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 sheets in a row. So it wasn't cheap. So yeah, you start from the bottom and work your way up, just tack them down in place, and you work your way to the top, and just use offcuts of that to make to overlap over the top. You can see in this picture, this is when I first ever built the pond, because they were all built out of breeze blocks and a brick wall round, and concreted all the way around, as you can see. Originally I went with design of pond paint, because I didn't want to use pond liner, but I thought pond paint would be a good idea. That's what I did. I'll show you the next picture, look, pond paint. Yeah, I ended up not using pond paint because it peeled off, and pond paint, after I applied it, it was rubbish. You know, for 100 quid for a big tub of pond paint, it was terrible, so I didn't use that. So I ended up putting a pond liner in. On this picture here, it's a paddling pool, because I went down the fiberglassing route, so I bought a paddling pool to put the fish in temporary. This was a 10-foot paddling pool, about 2 foot deep, just to house the fish temporarily. And then a temporary filter to put on. I used a main pond water, what was out of the pond, to put in to fill this up. Then I drained the pond right down. This was the old existing pond liner. Took the water out, put it in the paddling pool, drained the rest of the waste. I took the bottom drain out of the middle, you can see, because water was seeping underneath behind it as well, and it stunk really horrible when I took it out. It served its purpose, it did a good job for 3 or 4 years, but I wasn't happy, so I wanted to fiberglass it. You can see a different handle, and you can see I've got a shelf all the way around. I built the shelf in because I've got a daughter, so if anybody falls in, they get out quite easy. The pond. This is what when I drained it down. This was the pond paint I had, so I had to drain it all out and dry it out, and rub it down and scrape the pond paint off. As you can see, it's not lasted really well. This is what I had brought in the bottom drain, so I had to drain all this out, all the water out of the pond, and dry it out and give it a good clean and rub down in places, ready for because I have a king span in it, so I'd leave it a few days for it to get a good dry. I scrape everywhere and rub down as best I can and dry it out really well. You can see in places where I had to scratch it and really scrape it really hard in places and let it dry out. I think it took a 3 or 4 days for it to dry out, but I still had problems with water seeping in one of my corners. I had problems before, that's the reason why I put a pond liner in, but I'll show you in the next video, next picture, sorry. And you can see in patches here, the patch in the far corner where the paint would not stick. I tried everything but it would not stick, so I ended up using a pond liner, so that's the reason why I did this. You can see the water was seeping around the bottom of the drain, because what I should have done is put some damp proofing course down before I laid the concreting down and up the side of the blocks to keep the water out. So you can see in the next picture where I've outlined where the water was seeping through on the wall, so the paint wouldn't stick. So I had to do some of this because I wanted the fiberglasses, so I used what's called tank slurry, paint it all over the walls, and to help seal the wall so the water can't get through. I probably in the bottom corner where it was still getting through, so I had to make a really good dry mix and put that in places and try and seal it best I can, and it did do. I did really dig 2 foot downside the wall, but I was still getting water coming in, so it wouldn't work. But yeah, I used what's called tank slurry, what you can get from Wix's. I think about 25-30 quid for 12.5 kilograms stuff, and it really good stuff, yeah. So on this one I cut a recess out on the block work for the window to go in. I did this first before I did any king spanning, anything else, so I got the measurements and what I was doing it to the window. This was just before I did the window. Got it all dried out ready, and this was a picture of the tank slurry what I did, because it's only the bottom half. And I got all the king span in the pond. I think I had about 15 sheets of king span. This is a picture of the cutout. So yeah, I had 15 sheets off eBay. Shop round and get cheap enough. It's a cheap make of king span, which is the same version. I think it was about 125 to 130 for 14 sheets of king span. What I use. Yeah, so what I did cut it in strips, and I used that expandable foam to spray it down with a spray gun. Yeah, I got a lot of expandable foam stuff in bottles, so I got them for free. They're quite a good few bottles. They were out of date, but they still did the job. So yeah, just basically sprayed expandable foam on the back of the sheets, all over the wall, pressed it and stuck it, and it stuck really well. So you can see it did all the way around the wall, all the side of the bottom walls and the side of the walls with king span. So basically what I did was just cut it to strips. I did all this, shampooed the tops around the wall off, just so I can make it a bit more curved, so for the king span as well. You can see then I come to do the flooring. So basically the floor is not quite level, it is quite bowed, because it's like it drapes, it slopes down to the drain. So basically what I did with that is just king span, because it does bend a little bit. You can see it just off the ground a little bit, so plenty expandable foam. I put paving slabs and bricks down just to push it down. Ideal, you don't want to really king span the floor because rate of water can push down it, but I had no choice because I had water seeping in. I just wanted to king span it everywhere so it's dry enough for the king span to go on. For the fiberglass, sorry. And you can see I had probably water seeping through, because that was down to not putting damp proofing course when I first built it around the drain. So I put plenty of silicone around in places just to stop the water seeping in. and that you can see where it's all Kingspan and ready. This is all ready for fiberglassing. So yeah, I cut a little reset out the Kingspan just where the glass is going to fit in the window. So yeah, and this one is where I did half of the floor in Kingspan, and we expandable foam, plenty of paving slabs down just to weigh it down, plenty of expandable foam around the gaps. As you can see, just roll around the gaps, just fill all the gaps in best I can with it ready for fiberglassing as well in places. Yeah, this is where all the pond's done. Other side done exactly the same. It's all bent into shape quite really well. I didn't think it'd stick down really well, but it did do. And all I did was just shampoo around the drain just so it curved in a bit. It's all ready for fiberglassing as well. So yeah, I did all this, shampooed it all around and filled all the gaps in with expandable foam the best I can, just to get a neat finish for the fiberglassing. And shampooed all around the edges on the edge, just to give it that extra curve, so the fiberglass can bend round a bit more better. Because you can do round straight corners, but it's better if you just shampoo it off best you can. As you can see, just shampooed it up to the brickwork just so it goes round, so the fiberglass can adhere to the top edge of the breeze block. I had a original wall around it, but I took all that away, the brick wall. I cleared all that away because I didn't want the wall, because I did do some tiling. Just made it a nice effect and finish on the pond. This is where I did all the fiberglassing. So I mixed some fiberglassing resin up to what the weather and temperature. Then rolled it, put it in the fiberglassing matching in sections. I laid it lengthwise across the top, then the shelving, then the bottom, all the way around, and then the flooring was last. So it was basically rolled out, wet it out plenty really well with fiberglassing, then rolled it out really well with a paddle roller and make sure it was really well rolled out. There's no dry spots. My advice is I wouldn't attempt to do fiberglassing yourself, because I wouldn't do it again, because it was really hard. Just I had a friend who was a fiberglasser. He advised me and came and helped me, did this, but if I had to do it on my own, I wouldn't have done it. So yeah, all the sides was done, and then the shelving and the walls, the floor was done last, so I can have an escape go through the window to get out. Excuse me. In a matter of 3 hours it was gone off, it was set solid, it was all done. Just different handles, so fiberglass well into the window, because after I can just grind that out, what was left over in the window, and the window could be fitted as well. The bottom drain, originally I just went into just top of the bottom drain, but because I had water still seeping in, so we had to fiberglass all the way into the drain. You can see the fiberglass right over, a good inch over the top as well. So as you can see here, with fiberglass really into the drain, because we're having water still seeping through, so did a really good hot mix with the fiberglass to get it set off really well. Did that. Then we put the flow coat on. We start around on one corner of the wall, mix the bucket up in a 5 litre bucket at a time. You have to really quick with the flow coat. Black flow coat I went with. Did it all the way around the walls on the top, all the way into the drain. And you can see in this clip we had water still seeping through, coming through the flow coat. So what I had to do is put some patches of fiberglass in on around the tops, and then the fiberglass all and the flow coat all the floor after, because we had water still seeping through. So I did a really good hot mix to get it really set. You can see in this one I had water still seeping through, creeping through, so we had to do a really hot mix, wet it out, put it on a flow coat on top of that as a hot mix to really set off. Did it with a hairdryer to get it really set off and to seal it, and it worked. But I had to do this 2 or 3 times because I still had a little bits of water seeping through. But I did all this, did a really good job. The next minute, painted everywhere with top coat, make sure it was all gone off. Left it 2 or 3 days. When I say 2 or 3 days, left it for about a week actually to go off. And make sure it was solid in places, and yeah, it was really solid. There's no dry patches. It were all really sealed really well. Because you don't want nothing seeping through or leaching into pond water, do you? With it, the dome was fitted after. You can see I've got an airline going down to there because it's not a proper aerated bottom drain, just aftermarket, just a dome fitted with an airline. It was sinking airline, as you can see. I just did a bit of water test, make sure no leak in the bottom drain. That were all fine, everything else was fine with it. Left it a week to go off, and the window was fitted as well. In the next picture I'll show you that. This was another handle top coat was finished as well. This is the finished product with all the top coat finished. It won't be matte black, but as you see, it will go green algae, so you won't see black as much. Yeah, I ordered a window from Tuffex. Seal that in, plenty of sealant around it to really seal it in really well. I use about 4 or 5 tubes. Got plenty, no air bubbles on it, make sure there's no air in it. The other side I use some suckers, pair of ladders and some strap just to strap it really well. And this is when I just filled up 3 or 4 days later, just to make sure the window going off really well. I start filling the water up, praying to God there are no leaks anywhere, but yeah, you can see it filled up quite well, no leaks whatsoever. Just trimmed the rest of the fiberglass off round after and got that all set in place. The shower back on top, ready for just see how it goes in place. Then I filled all that in. After I put the copings on, then the shower back on. Did all that after. So I have filled it up, then drained it again, and then went for a fill again. Just gradually filled it up through a water meter. I know exactly what water is in my pond, so that's just so I know the gallons in the litres wise. It was 2,500 gallons, just short of 10,000 litres. So I can show you there, look, just gradually filling up with water really well. It took about 2.5 days to fill up, and as you see from more or less not far. Did a far on the far corner I put returning, so basically I cut out and only fiberglass in, put return in. That's for winter, so I could turn off my shower and put return in. That's really filled after. Do some cladding work after with the tile slates, the copings round top, the shower back on, and this is with the fish in. You can see fill up quite easy, pretty easy, quite well. Settle back in, no problems. Done really well. So yeah, that's another shot from it all finished and filled in. So if you like this video, thumbs up. Want to see some more video, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.